Hey everybody. So wanted to do a quick post-op of 2024 Carry Optics Nationals. A lot of eyes towards the front of the pack. There's Graffel and Hetherington and Seiler and Beal. Lots of heavy hitters going for the championship this year. Unfortunately for those guys, they didn't win the biggest prize of the match. I did, because Constantine Carry threw up $1,000 cash if you would shoot the match from concealment using a Constantine Carry Belt. And Carry Optics isn't a division I particularly immerse myself in. I shoot it a little bit as a cross-training thing. I'm an enthusiast, so I dabble from time to time. It is not my focus. However, it is the most popular division in USPSA and probably one of the more competitive ones right now. So when I went to Carry Optics Nationals, I had a healthy understanding that I was not going to be in the 90th percentile, even though I'm a GM in other divisions. I'm not a GM in Carry Optics. So I kind of got the chance to go last minute, and when Hunter threw up his challenge, I was like, I think I could do that. It's an interesting conundrum, because essentially, if you're going to do this, you are going to give the entire field a half-second head start on every stage. A concealed draw, it's really just a distraction from, or a hindrance on a draw in a sport that's decided in hundredths and tenths of a second. So you're given, best case scenario. I mean, my normal draws from USPSA rig are around 0.7, 0.8. I've done 0.6s, but sub-second is not a big deal from my normal draw. From my normal rig, concealed draw, I mean, what I was seeing in the week and a half I had to prepare, I was looking at a solid average of a second and a half. Just because there's more steps. There's more steps to do, and there's a shirt to get out of the way. So you're giving the field a half-second head start, essentially throwing away your match to do this challenge. And there are only a handful of us who did it. And came out on top on that one. So just wanted to go over my setup here quick. Hunter is doing this at a few more matches this year. I think this is the kind of energy we need to see more of in the action shooting sports. So wanted to go over my setup here a little bit in case anyone is curious, or maybe to inspire you to go after it. There's 2 more matches yet this year that he's going to do it at. It's Area 4 and Area 2. So you still have a chance to get you some of this money. But I wanted to talk about the equipment we used really quick. And since the belt was really what did it, I will start there. So Hunter Constantine's belt is essentially, if you do any kind of concealed carry at all, the belt is probably one of the most underrated parts of the whole system. And I've tried them all over the years. I'm pretty picky, and honestly, I just tried it because Hunter is a cool dude, and hit it off with him at a match, and he sent one for me to try. Didn't expect to like it, didn't particularly get it, but I did give it a try, and I really love this belt. I do actually use this on an everyday basis. He gave me one. I've bought one in every color, and 2 of the inner belts for 2-piece rigs. So I do actually wear these quite a bit. This is the one I like, the FDE one the best, so I do actually daily wear this one, but I pick whichever one seems to go with the colors that I'm wearing for that day. For the match, I use this tan one though, but it's heavy, thick, typical web belt fodder in the front. It's elastic in the back. It's kind of a belt mullet, but this is the one I use. Highly recommend. I was not always an appendix carry guy. I had tried some appendix for a while now. I got some of the original Incog holsters from when those came out. Appendix has been around for a while, but I tried it before. It was cool. If you've seen me in real life, I'm not the epitome of physical fitness. So it wasn't always comfortable for me. And combination of losing some weight, also playing around with the belts, the holsters, and the guns. I actually carry appendix quite often now on a daily basis. So I used the FDE 100 Constantine belt, but like I say, I have one in every color. When he comes out with more colors, I buy more belts. Just because I think it's a cool product, and he's a cool guy from our community, so I like to support people within our community, because not all industry companies are run by enthusiasts. The gun I shot was a standard fare CZ Shadow 2. Oops, sorry, someone's gonna be mad about that. But paid money for this gun. I'm in the industry, so I got it through an industry program. But paid cash money for this. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. Again, just as a gun to cross train on, I knew the Defender series of optics was coming, so wanted to get a carry optics gun to play with, and the Shadow 2 is really the one that I connect with out of all the guns that are legal in that particular division. Nothing particularly trick about this particular gun. I think I have about 10,000 rounds through this one or so. I did put a 13-pound hammer spring in it and a 13-pound firing pin spring in it. So it does have reduced weight springs, not as light as a lot of people go. My trigger is heavier than a lot of people's, even locally here. But the reason I did that is because CZ guys will run into a lot of light strike issues on certain types of ammo, actually a lot of types of ammo. So they have to, a lot of people, when they really race out the triggers, they get very specific about using ammo that is known to have very sensitive primers. I didn't want to deal with any of that. And also, when I've shot some other people's triggers, I didn't like them because I almost had like a vague feeling of the trigger bow itself following my finger. When I have a higher weight spring in here, I just kind of like the feedback I get on the trigger as I prep for that double action shot, which would be counterintuitive. A lot of folks are really lightening these things up for the double action shot, but a little bit stiffer. It gives me a little bit more positive feedback as I try to control the trigger. So I didn't lighten it up all the way. And then I put the Cajun Gunworks hammer on here. It just dropped in. I installed it myself. I didn't do really any gunsmithing to it. Just because I think the hammer that they put on here is atrocious and ugly. And this one has a little bit of a 1911 vibe to it. So I was on board with that. But other than trigger springs, changing this hammer primarily for aesthetics, I do have a lightened recoil spring in here. I think that's a 13. I think I was lucky number 13 all the way around on this one, and it's probably due to change at this point. But other than that, it's a fairly stock gun. I used lock grips on here. I fully intended to shoot the stock grips on the gun forever, just the blue crappy aluminum ones, but they don't have enough traction, and I almost wanted a little bit more of the contour, the shape of the grip, more than anything. So when I tried some other people's grips and I felt what it felt like with the contour of the lock grips on there, I changed out some grips very similar to what I would typically use on single stack guns, which is what I shoot a lot of. So not the heavyweight ones. I've held and shot a lot of guns with the brass grips on them. I don't particularly like the way those guns feel, and I don't feel that getting this gun to the max weight is particularly a competitive advantage. I think balance and feel of the gun is more important than just weight. So I haven't artificially added any weight into this gun. I just contour it so it fits my hand comfy, and has some traction on the grips. The only thing I'll say about this pistol that I really wish I would have got the Accu Shadow. Okay, so I was working retail gun sales when the CZ Custom first came out with the original Accu Shadow, and I always thought it was kind of whatever. Like really, you know, do you really, should you, you know, is it really worth anything more to get the bushing in there, or is that just something that we do in the industry to get more money out of people? This is one of the first pistols I've shot where I actually wish it was more accurate than it is. Not to say it is inaccurate. It is perfectly acceptable duty gun accuracy, even match accuracy for most folks, but I can shoot representative groups on this gun, and I can shoot good shots, and sometimes they spread a little bit wider than just me. You can flame me in the comments if you want. I'm just telling you, I really wish this was an Accu Shadow instead of the standard Shadow. And at this age point, I am actually contemplating changing out the bushing and putting the Accu bushing, or having the Accu bushing installed in there to tighten it up a little bit. I would certainly do this if this was a primary gun and a division I primarily focused on. So if you're in the market for a Carry Optics gun, I would lean on the Accu Shadow if this is going to be your primary squeeze and you're going to really get into this. So I shot my standard Carry Optics gun that I was going to shoot anyway. All I did was change a holster. What did I do for a holster? I used the T-Rex Arms sidecar, the new style one. I couldn't tell you why I was particularly intrigued when they added the Shadow to their lineup, but when they sent out the email with the video and like, hey, we're now available for CZ Shadow 2s, I was like, oh, you know, it would be kind of cool to have a holster for that. So I bought one on a whim. Rarely used this holster before this match. I don't know that I ever used it actually before I started getting ready for this match. But this is a standard fare T-Rex Arms sidecar. I got it in gray. They are an account of mine, but I paid money for this as well. They didn't send it to me for free. I bought a few holsters from them. And for you out there who are like, well, you should shoot the gun that you carry in the match, then well, that'll probably make you more angry because you know, it's a 1911 and 45 in the same holster. So this is in my current carry rotation. Wow, what about when it's on? I mean, here's another one. I mean, most of my carry guns will probably upset most of you, but that is actually what I carry. So it's not that far off from what I normally use. But standard fare T-Rex Arms sidecar holster. Magazines, I use the Metgar, the standard CZ Metgar magazines. This is the training magazine with dummy ammo in it, and I use the Henning Group extensions with the springs and followers that he recommends. Get about 23 rounds in here, and it's a fairly foolproof system, so this is just the one I use. We have a pretty good relationship with Henning as well, but I did actually order these from the website at normal price. So standard fare magazines on that as well. Ammunition, I used shoot, I forgot to grab some of that before I started here. 135 grain Ammo Inc. Factory ammunition. I do hand load ammunition, but my 9mm ammo is, I might actually have some of that. My 9mm ammo I load quite a bit longer than factory available ammo, which is really good for 2011s and 1911s that I typically shoot most of the time. However, that ammo is too long to fit in this magazine, so I just used factory ammo that I had access to. Ammo Inc. sponsored Multi-Gun Nationals, which I'm the match director of, and they gave all the match staff a match's worth of ammo. I had that sitting around from last year, so that was the ammo that I used. I chronoed at 134 power factor with that, for whatever that's worth. And then the thing I really played around with quite a bit was the cover garment, because you had to shoot from concealment. All right, so I kind of put some thought into that, and I actually started out in the shooting sports, shooting IDPA. So I'm not a stranger to competing from concealment, and in fact, I had this was actually still in storage at my parents'. I had to have them dig it out and send it to me. I actually did try my IDPA vest. One of my other videos, you probably see me wearing this thing. So I used to wear this all the time for IDPA. Haven't worn it in years. It's huge now. I saw lost some weight. And here's fun fact. So I'm left-handed. So back in the day, you're concealed, right? So the ROs or the SOs always come up to you on the right side when you're left-handed. So I had it embroidered on here on my right shoulder, a gun with an arrow, so that the ROs would always know what side of me to approach when they came from behind. So I busted out my old school IDPA vest that I had not worn in a long time. But ultimately I didn't use that because A, I didn't want to get made fun of that much, and B, that is really only a clutch setup for a strong side concealed draw. If you got it, flip that thing out of the way and draw, that's what that holster is for. As soon as I started working appendix in the front, it didn't work as good, and I started coming up with a handful of vest, especially on the reload. I had a handful of vest when I came up, so I decided that it probably wasn't the best. What I got the best luck out of actually was lightweight hoodies, like a sweatshirt. So kind of, you know, it's trendy in 2024 here. A lot of stuff is coming in a little bit more athletic cut, the little bit thinner ones. Is actually the one I had the best luck with is currently the 9-line Atlas Gunworks hoodie on the website, the blue one. So I even worked an Atlas plug into a CZ video, but that particular one was the one that worked best for me. However, the match is in June, so I didn't bank on being able to use a hoodie. I did actually use a Max T zip up hoodie when I was on the morning squad, and it was kind of cool enough to wear one of those, but something kind of thick that you could get a hold of, because the thinner the garment was, it seemed the more it got into my hands. The other thing I really used a lot of was these thin sun shirts. The ones that I have are the Vortex Sun Slayers. So I have a lot of these. I use these a lot. And the newer vintage ones, the original Sun Slayers kind of had a little bit of more of a floopy loose fit. These have a little bit more athletic cut. So not awesome for concealing your smoke wagon if you're like getting Sarah McLachlan tickets, but we're not doing that. We're playing a game, so it's concealment, but I was hedging on with the tighter fit, the stretchier fabric. I was hoping, and about 50% of the time, if you pull this thing up, it fits tight enough that it kind of stays up there, at least enough that you could grab the magazine for the reload, so you didn't have to do 2 concealed draws. So I would try to pull this up and set up kind of an undershirt that would maybe stick a little bit, so it wouldn't go all the way back down after the draw. That was about 50% of the time. Just trying not to come up with a handful of shirt and magazine and stuff that into your gun. So concealment garment wise, I used this is a Vortex Sun Slayer, but a long sleeve sun shirt was what I ultimately went with for concealed draw. But I think this was a pretty decent holster. It does present the magazine at a little bit of a cant. So if you look at a normal USPSA rig, you usually have a little bit of a canted holster on it. So it does actually present the magazine at a pretty decent angle to grab from, versus some of my other appendix rigs here. Like here's a G-Code. I don't know anyone from G-Code. I've paid full price for all of these too. They're actually kind of rude even when I asked them for a discount one time. But so I have a lot of these holsters, and it's a tighter concealment package. And that's what a lot of people are looking for in these, because like a lot of concealment stuff, you have to live with it more than you have to shoot with it. And so as far as living with a holster like this, it's awesome. But the draw angle on this magazine, straight up and down, not as awesome as some of these canted designs like the T-Rex, like what you can do with Tier 1 concealed and stuff like that. So when you're picking a rig to compete concealed appendix, pick one that has your magazine cocked out a little bit to the side there, so you can grabs it. Also, I only have one mag on that particular holster, so I also used, I had another mag pouch on my belt, and it is just off frame here, but it is one of those cheap Blackhawk clip-on ones, really just so I could have another magazine. My golden rule, one of my golden rules in competition, is you always have at least one more full reload than you plan on needing. So my oh crap mag, I had it in one of those Blackhawk things, and it was hanging kind of loose, just the next one down the line from that one on the belt here. And truth be told, I ended up like just hand falling on a magazine and pulling it up. I probably grabbed out of that pouch at least 50% of the time, if not a little bit more than that one. But that is the setup that I used, and hate on it or not, that's the one that did it. So flexing in the cash here a little bit. Truth be told, I will probably use it to indulge in another 1911. In my head, in reality, I will probably use all of this to shoot local matches for the next 3 years and not go to an ATM until 2028. And then as far as the rest of the season, I am not going to Area 4, so I'm not going to be able to defend my title there, but I am going to Area 2. Now, Area 2 is different than Carry Optics Nationals because all the divisions are recognized there. So I think what I'm going to do for Area 2, get a little bit of this guy, yeah, a little bit of open division, a little bit of 170 millimeter magazine, and then oh yeah, staccato Tenacore holster. Might be the winning ticket there. We'll see. Maybe in November.